What's up, folks? I am back. Today is July 19th, 2025, and I just want to do I wanted to do a video. So I said, hey, ChatGPT, give me an idea of a video that I can do. And it came up with this. So if we go over here, it said, hey, here's an idea. You can build a real-time trade volume heat map in EasyLanguage. So essentially, this is not the heat map here. Pretty much what it was talking about was just using some type of criteria to develop a system that says, hey, these bars have volume X, these bars have volume Y, so we will paint the bars accordingly. So, wow, here you go. I didn't show you. Here we go. So here is more what I would call a heat map, and we could adjust this according to different criteria. This is not really what I set out to do. This is what I set out to do here, was make a heat map according to volume being about a certain parameter, and then you would have different colored bars according to that. So these bars here would have a higher volume. These bars here have a volume within a certain middle range, and then yellow bars are a lower range on the parameter. So we're going to make that script right now. Boom. Okay, so let's bring up our development environment. I'm going to put it on the side here. No, not that. Pull up this. This will be our heat map work area. And again, so some of this you might want to fast forward through if you get antsy about seeing the underworkings, seeing the underpinnings, seeing the thought process. Some people don't want to see that. They just want code, and I guess that's fine. But I can tell you that if you can't think through how to make your code, then your ability to make more and more complex code is going to be limited. So if you want to be able to have code that does become more and more complex, then you really need to see the thought process. That's what I do on this channel. I show you the thought process. Like I said, some people just want the code, and that's fine. But so what we're going to do, in order to create this, we need to have a paint bar study, right? So you go to your development environment, you open up a untitled paint bar, you open up a paint bar. That's what we have here. On this specific paint bar, I think I have a form, and it's already got stuff on it. We're going to delete that. Delete these buttons, delete all this stuff. And then we will go to resource view, and this is how you get to it. Go right click that, remove the form. Okay, so now we just have a paint bar. Now I want to verify it, and we lose the paint bar. All right, so essentially when you use a paint bar, you want to have a low and a high of the bar that you want to paint, okay? So there's some other criteria that you can use as well. If I go to plot paint bar, and then I hit the parentheses, I can just have two values. And actually, you can have more values than that. But so typically, you will have a value 1, value 2. You can also have value 3 and value 4, and then you can have a name or a title, and then the next value will be a default, and then the following value will be the color. Okay, so it's essentially going to look like that. All right, now if I want to paint on each bar, if I want to paint from the open to the close, then I don't need the value 3 or value 4. I'll just have a name, just call it painter. Default, you have to put that space, you have to fill this out with default. It can't be blank, and you can't omit it. And then you can do color.red, we'll just put red, and then close parentheses, and verify. Now it paints all of the bars as red, right? There's also one after the color where we can do width. So we can put width 5, that'll make it really thick or thin. Make it 6, let's make it 1. Okay, all right, so that didn't really change it a whole lot, but anyway, there you go. Okay, so now we want to be able to change which bar is which color according to a volume. So I'm going to pull out my. Give me a moment. Let me get this together. I'm going to pull out my tablet and connect it, and we'll do some sketches. Okay. All right. So this is a little sketch, a little mock-up that I did. The problem is that I did it when you guys. Oh, I got a double whammy here. Let me see. I turn one of these off. Maybe that's better. Okay. All right, got double microphone going on there. All right, so what I did was I drew this, but you guys couldn't see anything. So let's draw that again. We essentially are going to have volume, right? And this volume is going to correspond to different bars. Different bars. Bars going up, up, down, 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 down. Last down, up, 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 big up, and then it starts coming down. All right, so we need to figure out, okay, do these bars need to be different colors according to the volume that they have? And where's my color changer? There we go. Okay, so this volume, this one will be say red because high volume. This volume is red because it's high volume. This volume will be red because it's high volume. These other volumes in here will be green or so because they are lowish volume. And then the ones that have absolute low volume, these will be red. The ones that have absolute low volume, they will be yellow. So these will be yellow, and then these will be yellow. Something like that. That's kind of creating a heat map for our chart. Now, we have a volume here, right? We have volume coming through here. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to assume, or we know that volume can be as low as 0. It can be as high as infinity, but our moving average comes through. So what we want to do is we want to take an X amount of our, X amount of our volume. So say we'll take 20% above, 20% below. Now this 20% line, everything under it is yellow, low volume. From here to here is magenta. I know I spelled that funky. Magenta, and then everything over it is red. You understand the concept? So that's what we're working on. Okay, so let's go back to our development environment. Okay, now back here at our development environment, we will say that we're going to have an input. We're going to use the EO system drawing just so we can get our color and everything. And then we're going to have input, which is going to be our percentage. Percent. And then we'll start off with the initial value being, let's say 20%. Okay, and then we'll come down here and then we will use a method that runs every bar. It says X calculate groups. Okay, And then you know your method comes after your declarations. Method void x calculate groups begin end. So we're going to, now we need to find the moving average. So in order to do that, we're going to have a variable that's going to be called move average, and that will be a double. So move average is going to be equal to the average of the ticks over 9 bars. I mean, you can change that to whatever you want it to be. Moving average ticks for 9 bars. And then we're going to say everything below 20% below that, right? So we'll call it our min line, double min line, and then double max line or high line. Yeah, I like that better. Low line and high line. Okay. All right, so now to get our low line, we will take the moving average times essentially this percent here. So 1 minus this. 1 or 100, so 100%. 100 minus I percent, and then that will give us a whole number, an integer over 0. So say if this is 20, 20 from 100 will give us 80. Now we need to divide that by 100, so it becomes a fraction that we can multiply by our number of question to get our new number. Okay, and so for a high line, we're going to do the same thing. So moving average, except for we need to go to the upside. Moving average times 100 plus I percent divided by 100. Okay, and now so for everything below, and everything below this low line will be plotted what? So if, oh, and we could do a case switch here. Because I was going to do if this, then plot this. If that, then plot this. But let's do a switch case. So we're going to switch the ticks, which is essentially the volume. And that, to do a switch case, we're going to do a begin end. Okay, and then we're going to have the case. So case is just saying this is an option. This is the first option. So the first option is, and it works from top down. So if you fall into a case at the top of it, it's going to execute that. And as I understand, it won't execute the ones after that. It'll just break out of this switch. It will take the first one at the from top down. I'll take the first one, and then that's it. So the first case is that this is less than low line, or less than equal to low line. What are we going to get in that case? We're going to do that. Okay. What are we going to get in the case of we're greater than low line and I think we have to do between. I don't think we can do and, not in this situation. Between. Oh, no, I think you have to do low line to high line. Begin, end. So I know that, for that case, you can do like, say the case is, the volume is 0 to 100. You put case 0 to 100. But typically, if you're doing something like less than or greater than, like what is 0 to 100? So for greater than, less than, you say x is greater than or equal to 5, and x is less than or equal to 10. Well, how do you do that here? I don't know the answer to that, but I know that you can do this. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the last case. Case is greater than or equal to highline. Begin, end. And you have a default case where you have to have something for default. And I think you just do default. And you can put any random thing, it just has to say something. Value 99 equals 1. Value 99 is a default variable in TradeStation, so it can be used as a dummy. Okay, so now what are we going to do in the case of the volume being less than the low line? Well, we want to plot paint bar from the open to the close. We're going to plot the whole thing, and then we will have, we can just say volume heat map, and then we'll say the color is yellow. Okay, we're going to copy that, paste that, paste that. If it's above the high, then it's red. If it's here, then it's going to be magenta. And let's verify. Errors. Painter. Oh, well, down here we were doing something different. And again, just like any other plot, when you're doing an indicator or a show me or something like that, if you have a plot of a specific plot number, which plot paint bar, you cannot have multiple plots, right? So for an indicator, you can have plot 1, plot 2, all the way up to plot 100. You can have a bunch of plots on the same indicator. With plot paint bar, you only have one plot. And so just like with an indicator, even though you have 100 plots, one plot cannot have two different names. So you can't have plot 1 plotting your moving average and the name of it be called moving average. And then you have another one lower that says plot 1 moving average of, the first one was moving average of the 9. This second one is moving average of the 25. Well, for the next time that you call on plot 1, you can't give it a different name. It's got to be the same name. You can plot a different value if you want to, but it's going to be hard for you to keep track of what that new value is if it has the old name. You can only have one name per plot, period. Okay, so here when we did a plot paint bar with a new name versus this is different, then we got an issue. Okay, so that's why you see here I have volume heat map as the same name for each one. It'd be nice if we could say low volume, mid volume, high volume. That'd be cool. There's no way for us to do that with the same plot paint bar, as I understand. Now, if you guys know something different, by all means, put it in the comments, let me know, and I will up my game and I'll do another video. But for right now, this is how I know it to be. Verify. Look at that. Pretty. Okay. So now we come over here and you can see where we have our higher volumes and then our mid-range volumes and then our low volumes. Now this is all relative to the moving average. So this is not to say that this volume here being this high is red, but if you come over here at a later time, because the moving average is moving, that same volume amount, instead of red, it might be yellow. So you have to keep that in mind. So let me see if I can find a perfect example. This volume, I'm not seeing one right now. Look at this. This volume here, let's put it in the context. Okay, so this volume here on this bar is, this is a magenta. This bar here is magenta. So that means it's mid-range. If we come over here at the same level, let's go all the way across the screen. All the way across the screen, way back over here. This volume here is less than the volume. See this? Now this is a line on the price level. It's not for volume, so it will move. But you see this volume here? This volume for this red bar, which means high volume relative, it's way down here. It's down this amount. It is down there. Okay, but if you go all the way to the left-hand side of the screen, this level volume here is a magenta. This is a mid-range volume. But over here, you can be almost half of it, and it's considered to be a high amount of volume relative to the area. And you see what happened when you get that high volume relative to the area, price reacted, right? Start getting these red candles, price is going to react. Price is getting ready to react. Now again, it doesn't always mean that it's going to react. Even here, you got these red candles, but we never made a higher high, right? So we didn't break, even though we got red candle, we didn't break any of the highs preceding it. And so we just kept down, right? So here, when you get these red candles, when you get the volume, it even started here, right? So you started here, and then you got one here, and you got one here. But even when you got it here, you didn't break the high. You didn't break this high, still didn't break it, 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 still didn't break it. Okay, and now here you broke it, and you broke it with lower volume. Now that's one of the things that I've seen before too, is that when you have a high volume drop, and then you have a subsequent lower volume hold, lower volume hold, then it's a better chance that it's going to reverse, as opposed to high volume, right? You can keep going high volumes, but when you get these lower volume holds, now you got a chance, but you still got to get a break of the high. Okay. All right. So that is cool to me. Let's do one more variation of this. We'll just add to it a little bit. I can't believe I'm already 26 minutes into this. Man, I talk about being in the state of flow. Talk about doing something that you enjoy doing. I really do enjoy the programming. I enjoy the trading aspect and everything like that too. But I enjoy the programming piece. Let's add one more thing to this. So we're going to come over here to resource view. We're going to go to forms, right click on it, add form, and then it adds a form for us. We're going to come back over here to toolbox, and then under toolbox, we're going to add a button, and then we'll drag it here, and then we'll do this, and then we'll take that, copy, paste. And then after we paste it here, does that look good? Okay, now we're going to copy both of those, and then we're going to paste. And then we're going to select that, and then we're going to drop this down. And then now we got 4 buttons. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to rename the buttons. So this first one is going to be called button 1. This next one, this next one is going to be called button 2. I mean, you see where I'm going with this. Button 3. And button 4. Okay. So we have 4 buttons here. What are we going to do with that? With this form here, you see it's called form. We're going to say if it's the last bar on the chart, then we're going to show the form. We're going to do this a couple different ways, but we'll say if last bar on the chart, so last X, then form1.show. Verify that. You see we have these buttons show up. Okay, so now what we can do is we can say, all right, well, and now this because we created this with the toolbox, this has designer generated code. So if we go here, touch DGC, this is my shortcut for designer generated code. This designer generated code is generated from what we did with the form here. It started at the beginning of the script, so we don't have to worry about whether it's there or whether or not it was run. It was run. If we show this at the end or if we show this at the beginning, form 1 is there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, if we do have if our calculation shows that we have a low volume on the heat map, then we want to take button 1 and paint it yellow. Okay, so we're going to say button this is the way we're going to do this, and I'll show you why. We're going to do button 1 dot color is back color equals. Can I do yellow? No, I have to do color dot yellow. Okay, color dot yellow. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here, and then now. So the good thing about this is that this will fire off while the code is live. While you're running it during the day, you'll see these buttons change colors. Okay, magenta, magenta. Okay, you see that changing? You see that doing its thing? Why do you think that's doing its thing? All right, I'll give you a couple reasons. One, this button 1 is only doing its thing because we have put button 1 here every time. So when you change this to button 2, button 3. We didn't even use button 4. Now look at it. Now each one is lit up. But you say, hey, Eric, the last bar on the chart is red. So why are all of them showing up? Well, that's because whenever we got to a valid place where the switch was where the case was switched or the case was triggered, we changed the color, but we never changed it back to its original color. So what we can say is at the beginning of every run, before we assess whether or not we need to change the color or not, at the beginning of every run, let's go ahead and reset the color. Well, for this instance, we can reset it back to its factory color. There might be another instance where you want to leave the last one that was lit, but we're not going to work through that logic right now. So we're just going to say, and we could do this in another method, right? So we could reset all of these. So we could say X reset colors in another method. Remember, your methods need to come after your declarations before your main body. X reset colors. So we're just going to take all these buttons, and the color that we're going to consider to be the reset will be the color of this form, this background color. So it's the form 1 color. So we have all those buttons, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to reset them to the color of form 1. Form 1 dot back color, to be precise. Okay, now we verify X reset colors, plural. Okay, so now we should end with 1 color. And that's the last one that triggered. Okay, so now you saw it firing off like that. And so essentially, when you run this program on live data, it will light up just like that. It will light up according to what is happening. Now, the cool thing about that, or about having it as a more or less heat map like this, is that you can say, all right, well, I don't want to paint the bars because I like to see the blue and the red. I like to see the the distinction between the actual bars. So we don't have to paint the bars. I know we're in a paint bar study, but we don't have to paint the bars. So we could just exit that out. Exit that out. I'm gonna make it a little bit more complex for you. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. All right, so now we're not painting the bars, but we have our heat map running. So that's cool. All right, so now we got all this going on, but we don't have the heat map. Which, looking at it now, the heat map actually really does look really cool. So, I don't know. I think ChatGPT just gave me a interesting idea. All right. What we can do is, now that we have all these buttons, now that I've showed you how to change your inputs and your arguments by using a form, we'll just have this. We'll go to the bottom here. And again, this is something that I've been doing with my programs here recently, is making it a lot more user-friendly, the GUI, so that I can adjust and modify things on the go. So I'm going to show you two ways to do it. So one way to do it is we're going to say input is going to be paint bars, and paint bar is going to be true. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this, right? I'm going to say if we have the input of paint bar set to true, then we're going to paint the bars. If not, then we won't. So we're going to say if I paint bars, then paint the bars. Copy. Paste. Paste. I'm going to show you why this isn't as fun though. Okay, so now we've got that running. Okay, so it's naturally set at true at the beginning. All right, but now if we want to change that input, we have to go to Edit Studies, and we have to go to our input, change it false, hit enter, rerun it, and now it's going to rerun, this time not painting the bars. Okay. The good thing about using some type of interface, some type of user interface with forms and that kind of thing, is that you can just do that from right here. So we go to Toolbox, we go to Button, give it another button. We're going to come down here, and this button is going to be called Paint Bars. Okay, and so we're going to do kind of a natural green if it's on, red if it's off. Okay, let me see how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to show you the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know that I wanted to really do that right now, but I'm going to have to show you the whole thing. All right, so we're going to have to use app storage, because when we reset this, we need it to know what's going on. Okay, so for paint bars, that button, we're going to call it button bars. Okay, so now button bars, we need to go back to it, and if we click on it, we go to the event, and then we hit mouse click, double click in there. That gives us a new method right here. So if we click on it, we're going to change this paint bars from an input to a variable. That way we can change it. You can't change the input, guys. Not after, I don't think you can change it from the code anyway, but you can change a variable. Variable iPaint bars, we're going to leave it as iPaint bars, just to let us know that it does change. So variable iPaint bars, we're going to say, when we click the button, we're going to do the opposite of whatever iPaint bars was. If iPaint bars was true, it's going to be false. It's going to be true. It's going to be false. So whenever we click this, it's going to be, so iPaint bars is going to be not iPaint bars. It's going to be whatever iPaint bars is not. And because we're making this calculation in the middle of a bar and not at the end of the bar, and we do want to say that value, then we need to do interbar persist. All right, so go back down here. Interbar persist is on, so iPaint bars is equal to not iPaint bars. Now, if iPaint bars, so if it's true, then button bars dot back color is equal color dot green. Else, button bars equals color dot red. Got that? Okay, so now we can what's wrong with that? Button bars is an object itself. It can't have the color change, but the back color can be changed. All right, so now we're going through and we're doing this. Now, when we click paint bars, it's going to change colors, right? It's going to change colors. Now, you see that one thing, it started off with the background being gray. So we need to fix that because when the form first comes on, we need to make sure that the color is assigned to the right color. So when we show the form, we need to also make sure the color is set correctly. So if I paint, but essentially we're just going to repeat what we have up there. So we're going to copy that and we're going to paste it. Now we're going to verify. Now you see it starts off as a color. What does that color mean? That color means that I paint bars is true because it's green. And so you see we're painting the bars. Now we can unclick this, and now that we unclicked it, it doesn't do anything. The reason it doesn't do anything is because this moves with time. This moves, the bars are painted as the bars are processed. And so you can't go back. Well, I guess you could go back and unpaint the bars or unplot them, but that would be a lot of work. And I don't think I want to do that. I mean, I think it would be a good exercise. You just run it through a loop and you say, as many bars as we have, we're going to unplot them. I'm actually curious. I actually want to try it. So again, this is not what I set out to do, but I'm a strong advocate of making, practice make perfect. So what I want to do is I'm going to try it. I don't know if it'll work or not. So I'm going to say no plot the numeric plot number. Removes a plot. So that removes a plot. Set paint plot paint bar. I don't know that you can undo the paint bar plotting. I'm going to check this and then we're just going to move on. I don't know that you can do it. No plot. No, I don't know that you can do it. Guys, if you know whether or not you can do this or not, by all means, let me know. Subscribe, hit the bell, and then tell a friend. And tell them that I don't know what's going on. All right? Because I don't know everything. All right. So we've got pretty much what we want right now. Now, the only other thing that I would say is we can put a reset button on here. And I'm going to show you. Well, I can do it. So I'll do it two ways. When I refresh this, even though this is red, that I don't want to plot the paint bars. See, it's green. Now it's red. It says I don't want to plot the paint bars. But guess what? When I rerun it, it's going to be green again. It's green again, all right? Why does it turn green again? Well, it turns green again because the default value of the plot paint bars is true. If we want the script to be able to record the values from one iteration, one run to the next, we need to use something like app storage, which is a dictionary that can save different values. I think it saves I think I've seen it save the token list before also. So I don't know what other kind of objects it can save. Oh, I think that's it. The values have to be, your native values, your numbers, strings, booleans, and one other one. But if your token list has only numbers, strings, booleans, and the other one in it, then it can save the token list. But if your token list has objects in it, or other token lists, or dictionaries, or something like that, then it won't be able to save it. All right, so that being said, app storage is very powerful. So what we're going to do with app storage is we're going to say if we uninitialize, no, we don't even need to do that. We do need to do it on the initialization. So every time that we click this button, and our paint bars changes, then we also want to store into our app storage. Use it like a dictionary, right? You got the hard bracket for your key. It's going to be called, it's a string, which is your key, I plot paint bars. And I know some people will cringe at me using the same name, exactly the same as it is here. Well, it's not, but I am going to do it that way because I want to. Okay, so, and it could become confusing. Is this the variable? Is this a key? Well, you know this is a key because it's surrounded in quotations. So I don't have a problem making that distinction. All right, so we're going to save into app storage. App storage of our paint bars is equal to whatever our paint bars currently is after it's been reassigned the opposite or the inverse value. Okay, so now that we've saved this, we need to say, or when we initialize, when we open the chart back up, I just double click initialize. When we open the chart up, we're going to say, if we do have something in app storage at our paint bars, and you got to get this right, it's got to be case sensitive, you got to get it right. If we do have something in there, or we'll say if the app storage contains it, then what are we going to do? We're going to update our initial value, the initial, like the declare. This is the declared value, but if we want to get kind of an initial update value, then we're going to say our initial update value for our paint bars is going to be equal to whatever's in that app storage at our paint bars as type bool, because it's a boolean. It's a true false. And you could put boolean here if you want to. And you could put integer here if you want to. Okay. All right. So now, if we do have something there, we're going to update the value. All right. So we're going to verify there. You see that's green now. All right. So we're going to turn it to red, and then we're going to reset it. Red. And now I just came over here and I re-verified this script. So essentially it resets. And when it resets, it still held what? It held that our paint bars is false. It held it because it held it in the app storage. All right, so the only other thing I might do here, and I promise you, I can keep saying the only other thing and the only other thing. I can do this for hours. I really can. So I'm going to try not to. You guys can hop off whenever you want to. You can always speed up the recording, but sometimes I'll talk fast, so speeding up the recording may not help you. All right, so there's going to be button restart. All right, so what we're going to do here is if we click this button, so we go over here to method event handler, and then we go to mouse click, double click that. This comes up, gives us a new method event handler, right? So if we click this button now for the restart, we're going to throw recalculation EL system dot recalculate exception dot create. Restart it using the button. Boom. Okay. And now you know what's going to happen when I click this button, right? So we're going to change this. So we're going to change this to plot paint bars. So now we want to plot the paint bars. Now we're going to hit restart. And then it restarts the whole program. We don't have to re-verify over here. We don't have to change the inputs, anything like that. This restart is, I love it. I love it. You've got the restart or the recalculate exception. So you're just recalculating the chart analysis technique. You've got the stop exception, and I think that's it. Stop calculation exception, recalculate exception. Yeah, those are the ones that I use. And then you also have one that you can, well, if you want to stop the program, you can have use raise runtime error, and that will do similar to the stop calculation exception. Okay, let's change this to button 1, or we'll change this to low volume, low, mid. I might use this during the trading day. Just check it out, see how it does. And then high. And then instead of having a random button here, that doesn't do anything, I can't think of anything to do with it right now. We're just going to delete that, and then we're going to put plot paint bars right here. Put this at the bottom. I don't know. I kind of like it. Where is the border? I think we can make it 3D. We don't want to make it 3D. Sizable. Fix 3D. None? Oh, that's for that. Oh. Okay. I kind of like that. Oh, that's for the form. That's why. Okay, I learned something new. And what is this? All right, so we're going to verify that. Wow, okay, no border. Can we drag it? No, you cannot drag it. At this point, you can't drag it. Okay, so, I mean, if you know where you want that on your chart, then I think that'll be fine. But I don't think this isn't specific to the chart, though. This is the position is relative to the position is relative to your overall desktop and workspace. Now, I can show you one thing that I found out is that if you're trying to figure out where to put this on your chart, then what you can do is you can, when you're on your form, you go to Method Event Handler, and when it's moved, resize begin, shown, visible change. Lost focus. We'll put got focus. It might be resized, but we'll put got focus. So we'll double click in there. That'll give us a method event. We'll come back over here and you see got focus here. So what we're going to do is we're trying to figure out where this is, because you can spend all day saying, before you show the form, to change the position dot x equals, I don't know, 30, and then form 1 dot position dot y equals 70. Verified. Doesn't look like it changed. 130, 170. Doesn't look like it changed. Is it not the position? I'm pretty sure it's the position. Form 1 dot. It's either position or location. Well, I feel like that is setting it. Coordinates of the upper left corner of the control. So that's where you do the 30, 60, and the 160. But here, I don't know what the position is then. position, my good friends, is gets or sets a point object identifying the location of the upper left corner. Gets or sets it. So like I said, it should have set it. And I'm confused as to why it didn't. Well, all right, so we commented that out. We used location instead, and location seemed to work fine. I wonder why position didn't work. Because we set both of them. Unless, I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to undo this, and I'm going to put this after we show the form. Shouldn't make a difference. It didn't make a difference. .x. Yeah, I don't know. Form one position. It could be another one of those things where it just doesn't work. And sometimes, apparently, TradeStation has this thing where sometimes things just don't work and you don't know about it. X and Y. What kind of object is position? It says object. That's not an object though. What I just typed in is not an object, so that wouldn't work. So what is it expecting? Expecting another parentheses. 120. Form one, I show form one dot position. $121.30. Nothing is ringing a bell. Sets a point object. Okay, so it's a point object. I don't know. Can you make a point object? I didn't know that. I've seen it before where, like when you're working with a trend line or something like that, you can get the point. I guess DT point. I guess you could use, no, you can't use a date time point for that. You could use an XY point though. XY point. Yeah, XY, I think XY point. Let's see. That's, I thought that was drawing maybe. Because you got DT point. All right, nothing's firing now. EL system, using EL system dot drawing objects, I think it is. Because we're talking about an object, we're talking about drawing. So XY point, yep. XYP, we just call it that, null. And then we will come down here, and then we'll say XYP equals, or we might be able to do it XYP equals new XY point, and then come here. Since this is the object it's looking for, you can say XYP dot create. Nope. Let's try a create from here. XY point dot create. We're going to have the X and the Y point, so we'll do 130 and we'll do 130 and we'll do 130. And then we will say that this XY point, is equal to this. Boom. This is comment it out, which this doesn't do anything anyway. And then this is commented out. Verify. Nope, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like that as a point. Cannot assign drawing objects XY point to drawing point. Okay, is there a drawing point? Point? Not seeing just a point. Oh, maybe point type? I wish I knew more about it. Gosh, I tell you what, man. Any of you who really truly hop on and watch some of my videos, you know that I don't like to give up on stuff. So this is going to be a problem. Point.create, drawing point, drawing point, create, XY, 130, 130. Okay, so we might not, it might not have a, well, surely there's got to be an object that can take this point. But as for now, we're just going to take this, cut it, and put it right here. We can get rid of this because this XY point did not do it. We cannot substitute an XY point and assign it to a point. So now we verify. Nope, so it didn't like that. And the last thing that I can do, like I said, since this does seem to be maybe a class, point. But like I said, you can do DT point and that class comes up, right? When I just type in point, no class comes up. So I'm thinking that you can't do this. I'm gonna put PT. Excuse me, PT. And so then if that were a true object, if that worked for it, then you do PT equals point.create, and then here you put PT. Cannot convert null to an enumeration value. Right, so point type is an enumeration class. It's not a object class, clearly. All right, well, I'm all out of guesses. Took something from being simple to being way complex, and then I got boxed into a hole, which is fine. Like I said, I truly think that that's the way that you learn how to box yourself out of a corner, is by boxing yourself into a corner. Okay. All right. So where were we? All we want to do was change the location to this. So we're going to so which one worked? Was it location or position? I think it was position. I think it was location that worked. So we're going to get rid of this. Get rid of this. Oh, we didn't undo this. All right. There we go. Okay, so the only thing I want to show you there was if you are on your form and you put it into focus, then I want to show you how you can find out what that location is. Because right now we have 60, 160, but technically say we want to put it right here, perfectly right here. Because we don't have this draggable window, we can't drag it. Okay, so what we're going to say is we're going to try to find out where that perfect XY point is. So we're going to say print. So once we're in focus, we're going to print form1 dot location. Dot to string. No. And I don't think location is an object. I think this is where we use the position at, because position is an object. Turns out that it's a point object, but we somehow don't have the authority to access or create one, but we can pull it, we can get it, and then we just assign it to a string. All right, so you see here it says 60, 160, and then when we go back into it, when it gets focus again, right, it will. Oh, that's right. We can't even drag it though. We can't drag it because we got rid of our box. Okay, so let's allow ourselves to drag it. Form. This is the control location. Border style. It was sizable. This is what we did it as. And I'm not sure that got focus is working. Occurs when the form is activated. So I guess when it's first activated is when it occurs. Got focus. I didn't realize that. I want it to be when, okay, mouse enters. Lost focus is when the controller loses focus, not all supports. Do not attempt to, okay. All right, well, when mouse enters. Okay, come back over here. We're gonna move this into here. Re-verify. Every time the mouse comes back onto this form, you see it keeps plotting 160 again. 60, 160. Every time I come back into it. Okay, so now we're just going to slide this up here to this spot right here. And I don't know. I think this this top border is not included in this. I don't know. It must be included in the position of the zero of the X and the Y. So we're going to assume that it is. And so we're at 37, 151. So we're going to change this to 37, 151. Now when we re-verify it, it puts it right there, which is perfect. Now we're going to come back over to the form, and then we're going to get rid of that edge. Which was form border style. None. Now let's see. Okay. I mean, I like it. I like where it's at. Yep. I like where it's at. Okay. So now it'll stay there. But it stays there even when you move this around. Right? See that? So, and now you can't drag this. So if you could have it on there relative to your chart window, then that might be different. But right now you might not want it to stay in that same spot in case you pull up a different screen or something like that. So, all right. And the cool thing about this heat map is it can change automatically according to the time frame or anything else that you put up there. It changed according to the time frame, changed according to the symbol that you have up. So very cool. Okay. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. All right, guys. I'm probably gonna hang out here for a while. So, and actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get off here and I'm gonna look at some statistics a little bit. So I hope you got something from this video. It's about an hour. I'm back. this is great. So again, this is pretty much what we created here today. We created a heat map of two parts. So one is we have a grid here, a GUI, if you will, that allows us to change some of the inputs. We can change whether or not we want to paint the bars or not paint the bars just by clicking on this, and then we can restart this whole thing. And this heat map here will change while you're live trading, and it resets with every bar. So only one bar can be colored at a time, obviously with the exception of this paint bars here. Okay, and if you're interested in coding this, then by all means, stop, pause the video, rewind it, come over to Discord. I can put this one in the library. Matter of fact, I will. I'll put this one in the library just so folks can have access to it. And I probably won't clean it up that much though. So you put your own spin on cleaning it up. Okay? All right, guys. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.